Hey everybody, welcome to episode 76 of Music Real Talk with Marvin. I just got my Facebook broken into and they put an ISIS flag instead of my profile picture.
You just found Allah.
I found Allah in my life, and yeah, that shit was intense. I was very surprised to find Allah. Yeah, I was working on my walk bars, but I'm back now. It's great. Anyway, how have you been? What's new?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, trying to remember. I had something to talk about, but now I don't remember. Maybe you start with something and then you'll come back to me.
All right. Well, I had a strange experience. We actually haven't recorded a podcast in a long time because we did like a bunch of them during tour, and that was like the last couple of episodes. But now we're out, yeah, I'm in Israel now, and it's first of all, this is a very strange place for music, but I'm not going to get into that currently. But what did happen was there was this boy that popped up on my Facebook feed that played jazz guitar, an Israeli kid who's like, I don't know, maybe 19 years old. And there's like this terrible group on Facebook I'm a part of. It's like mostly like this weird, it's called like Jazz Guitar. And it's like a Facebook group that's just totally ridiculous. It's ridiculous all the time. It's like a guy who barely speaks English, who like makes...
Noah Jones. Oh.
It's mostly like, you see like, it's kind of like one of these things doesn't belong. I think I've talked about it before. Like you see a picture of Miles Davis and like, I don't know, Louis Armstrong and maybe Freddie Hubbard and this chick you've never heard of. And they're all like wearing yellow. It says like greatest jazz trumpeters of the 20th century. And it's like, what the fuck? But anyway.
Sentence that makes sense.
It's just broken English and just ridiculousness. And I don't know how I followed this page. And I think I actually followed it from the Marvin page, so you follow it too. But anyway, there was this jazz guitar boy, and I clicked on it. There was no reason to click on it. Like everything about it looked like it was going to be terrible. Like it looked like it was going to be the worst. But I'm just so curious about guitar, and I always have been, that I just have to click on any person I see playing guitar and just listen to a second of it. And he actually wasn't bad. Like he was like really, yeah, it was really good for a boy, like really good for that age. Like he plays better jazz guitar than everybody we meet in real life.
He still has some major issues, but he figures some stuff together already.
Yeah, he has a lot of shit together. Anyway, so I just he's not famous. Like his videos have like 20 views, but he's good. And I just contacted him, like, just clicked his profile, added him as a friend, started talking to him a little bit. Clearly, he's never heard about us, which is makes sense. Time and time again, it's the thing. Just zero curiosity about that shit. But the thing that really shocked me about him was, he's Israeli, and he's just about to go he's applying for scholarships now at Berkeley and New School. And it's so incredible that after all this time that elapsed since we followed our fantasy of the U.S., how intact it still is here.
The same fantasy.
I don't know. If he wanted to be an influencer, wouldn't he just...
So that's all I'm saying.
What is the fantasy now?
To play jazz with the best.
Who are the best?
As far as they're concerned?
Yeah, like they're all dead. Who are the best? Ronaldo?
Okay. It's not even a fantasy. It's these people want to be musicians. And as far as they're concerned, being a jazz musician in Israel means you go to study in the United States. and then you play a little bit, and then you come back to Israel. So that's with your tail between the legs. But this is really what the Israeli thing is. So I'm not. It's just the course.
I mean, I know that you're right, but it's still so crazy.
It's what they send them to do. It's like the entire Israeli system, just education system, is geared towards Berkeley and New School, because you take some of the courses in advance, and in high school or in Le Mans in college, and then you just go over and do a couple of 2 years instead of 4 years, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just we're just being shuffled into that.
I know they're being shuffled. I know it's true, but it's like we've talked about how corrupt it is, but in Israel it's just something special, because to uphold the fantasy of and to create a new generation. When me and you moved to the States, we had a lot of fantasies about it, but we really did not go back and report anything that's like totally false about the experience of being here.
Friends are not in the jazz scene.
That's true too, but I'm saying this new generation that keeps coming back from, like, let's say you're a graduate of the New School, graduate of Berkeley, and you went to you did that, and then you stayed that year or 2 or 3 or 4 in New York, and you played some cafes with really not the best, or some of the best in the scene, maybe if you played smalls, and then you come back and you have to like talk about this grandiose version of your experience.
Yeah, but no, I really don't think you look at it correctly. So think about somebody in our band. So let's talk about John for a second, right?
Okay.
I'm sure John won't mind that I'm saying it, because he might change his tune depending on what we talk about. But it's basically what he says. If you ask John about school, what would he say? That he learned from great musicians and got to play with a lot of good players, right? That's what they think. It's like if you look at a jazz musician that we all know what we're talking about, and they're not very great. As far as they're concerned, the people around them, you don't think they're good. You think the teachers suck. You think they didn't learn anything. You think the shows were just gigs. Smalls is a non-for-profit.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about this club. But as far as they're concerned, Smalls is like the hippest place. It's it's
the Mecca. It's Mecca.
And they're right, because like you have Chris Potter who has videos there, and Joe Lovano, and all those people, and they're not. Listen, when you play, you think about shows, like how many people paid tickets and how many people showed up, and you look at tours and you look, like if I look at the last 100 shows, I'm doing better than the 100 shows before them. You have a lot of stuff.
That is so, that it's almost like a point of contention between my wife and I, because she's always like at the end of the night, she's like, how was the show? And I just report back ticket sales and like album sales, basically. Like if I'm getting into it, like, because every show's good. Like, I like playing, and so I'm like, yeah, it was like good. Like, this many people came. This is like, yeah, like, I don't care how many tickets you sold. Like, how was the show? It's like what do you, like, emotionally? Like, I really because I can't be like, I really leaned into the 9 on this A minor chord on this tune.
Yeah. It's like,
I know.
Show. It's about like all the shows, and
yeah.
But the two, it's just, I don't know. I'm just saying, those people, they don't have the same perspective as we do. So for them, it's like all that stuff. Yeah, they really believe that the people that played with in New York are the best, and everything was great, and it's like that's the pinnacle of New York is the only place that's important in the United States. Like they never been anywhere. Right? They don't know. So it's just. They come back and they never get their fantasy of what the state is never get is so small that it never gets popped. The bubble they never get popped. So they come back and then they say, it's like, man, I played with this guy, and then it's like when I jammed, and what's his name, Joe Frank came and said in, and and to me it's so funny, because I would go like when I went to fix my saxophone at this guy's place, right? So New York, and he makes horns. I don't know bad. And this was many years ago, but like 5 years ago. But still, even then, like technically, like I've done at least as much as most of the people that go to him, if not more, when a lot of the more people, and more people know us. But for him, it's like we're not a part of this New York thing. Like it doesn't matter how many albums we sold. You know what I mean? It's like for those people, it doesn't matter how many tickets.
They don't give a shit. They don't care.
And in New York, you know, we sell more tickets in New York than these people that don't care. It's just, it's not the point. So it's like we're part of the scene. And when you are part of this scene is an hierarchy, and you're part of the hierarchy, it's like you look at it in a specific way. We're out of it, so we don't look at it like they do.
I know, but I love. It's almost like I love the narrow-mindedness of their game. Like they're there to do like to try in one way. You know what I mean? It's like you move to New York, you start with your friends in school in the little cafes, you maybe play with one of your teachers, and then you go and sit in jam sessions as much as you can, and then you take any gig that comes your way, and you just like hope somehow that something you do is liked by somebody who has some sort of correction to the Europe circuit. You hope that somebody coming up with you in school will take you there. And if it doesn't happen, you just don't do it. You just move away. And it's like there's no attempt of thinking outside the box to like the slightest level.
Well, do they think about outside the box when it comes to the music or the playing? No.
Well, that's also like the thing about this kid specifically that was so incredible to me, because, you know, listening to him, I'm not gonna name him, but he's very good at this style that is like the idealized form of straight ahead jazz playing without any of the weird shit. Like I would say, like up to like 1959, maybe like 1962. Maybe like some sort of like weird lines a little bit, but no like pre-Wayne Shorter, definitely pre-free jazz. And you see that he's a very talented kid in the sense that he understands that aesthetic. And I think for anybody who's been a jazz student who has traveled some length in that direction, it's appealing because there's a place where you start turning towards your own thing. You know what I mean? Towards your own aesthetic, towards your own licks, towards your own melodic contours, your own rhythms, the things that you actually care about. And you turn away from like, you know, the exercise book type jazz. Like just learn the lick faster in all the keys and learn more vocabulary that's like Sonny Stitt in all keys kind of version of jazz playing. But then you see these people that just went, you know, he's young, so he didn't even go that long in that direction. He just got farther because he's young. But like, I really suspect that like that stuff, it's not 1959, and it probably wasn't even easy to make it then with that kind of thing. But now you literally, if you're playing straight ahead, there's very few places you can even play it anymore. So outside of the academic setting, like if a guy like that actually comes there, he will inevitably have to, like if I were to see a guy like that in 2-3 years, he will go the modern route once he makes it to New York. Yeah. Because he's going to fall prey to the dissonant signaling. He's going to have this, he's going to sit with a guy that blows his mind, and the guy's going to be like, it's like, yeah, you're good at this straight ahead shit, but what does that mean? You know, and something like that will seep in, and he'll direct this talent towards this fucking outside thing. You know, check out that. Kurt Rosenwinkel.
It's more than that. It's to play straight ahead, you have to play with straight ahead players.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really play straight ahead when you have all the modern drummers and bass players.
Oh, by the way, I listened to the other Israeli guy that you sent me. You told me he plays with Christian McBride now.
I just started to. Oh yeah, did you listen to the saxophone player what he has?
Dude, do they make Q-tips to take shit out of your ears? Because they were all just so bad.
The saxophone player was terrible. It's really hip to.
I feel like you owe me my time back because that shit was painful to listen to.
It makes me laugh. It really is like one of the big thing that people pretend now that women are good at saxophone.
I know you're just supposed to nod. I think that's what they. Yeah, you see it in every magazine. I mean, jazz magazine now, in any school. It's like.
And I know people are thinking, like, is there no woman that's good at saxophone? No, slowly. But just not good at it. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm saying it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
What can I say? Same thing. Yeah. Are Jews in the NFL? No. Can Jews not play football? Probably could.
Yeah, somebody might be able to.
One of them. Yeah, we didn't get the right one yet. Same thing.
Yeah.
Get the right one.
I don't know. Yeah, that shit's real. I don't know.
I don't know that soprano player.
I do remember some people the argument some people have is like, would you tell your daughter that women can't be good at saxophone? It's like, no, they maybe can. They might be able to, but they haven't been. I certainly will tell my daughter. I have a daughter, and I'll tell her. It's like there haven't been any yet. Maybe there will be. Who knows?
Yeah. Jane I.R. Bloom, that's her name. Jane I.R. Bloom.
Yeah.
I love us.
There's a lot of guys who are pretty terrible at saxophone too, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I feel like if they make, my guess would be that like if they actually make if they have data on sucking at saxophone, women are not going to be at the bottom. Because I feel like there's like a lot of funk and jam band saxophone guys that will definitely dominate, and like TikTokers they're like dancing saxophone people who can barely make a note.
I looked at a list came up because Jana Bloom, because I was looking at your name, I forgot it, and it's like comes up like with 14 famous female saxophone players, and it's like even I don't know all of them, but it's basically like, like Tia Fuller or whatever, can be Doppler, and then like with Grace, and it's like and then Grace Kelly, and then it's like the lady that lives across the street from. It's like it really goes to like who can we know that plays saxophone? Like it's like we look on the person will Google like saxophone woman. And then sort by views, it's like, dude, it's just silly. Again, it's not. Just we're not very good at it. It's not we're worse at it. It's not very good at it. It's so far.
Yeah, no, certainly, it's wide open.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like
kind of thing. But if you say, and if I was famous, people would be like, you can't have in festivals anymore, and you have to apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not apologize. I would actually make them, ask the festival to host a battle.
Yeah.
And fly all the female saxophonists in the world to compete against you.
That would be like, what's the problem with toxic masculinity in jazz? And then we do interviews about how hard it is to be a woman in jazz.
I don't know if there's toxic masculinity in jazz. Anytime we meet these jazz people, they're such pussies.
Toxic masculinity is such a weird phrase.
Yeah.
It's like, It's like I don't like when it's like I don't like dudes. I'm a bummer. That's what it's like, I don't like good time.
Yeah. I feel like being our sideman is probably people that leave the band. It's like Chernobyl level, like radiation of toxic. Yeah, It's true. It is true that if you use the term toxic masculinity non-facetiously, that you are such a pussy. I've never met I've never had a friend that used it seriously.
Yeah, it's like a bummer. It's just a bummer. You're just a
Yeah.
bummer person. It's like, what do you
Yeah.
want? You know?
Yeah.
What do you mean too? It's like it means nothing.
In any case,
It means like somebody that makes jokes I don't like, right? That's what it really means. Like say stuff like books are stupid. I love sports. Lifting in the gym is great. Like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I'm very glad that our ex-bassist Ian is now a fan of the podcast. He told me that he's listening to it now. He wrote that he has some Marvin PTSD from some of the episodes. That's even great. That's greater. Shout out to Ian. Ian, we love having you on board.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about? It's kind of the same subject. It's like this New York jazz album that I talked about a bunch. It really is one of my favorite jazz albums. I was thinking.
That's Sonny Stitt, right?
I was thinking about a couple of things. I was thinking about if I had to name my favorite jazz albums, it would be top 10. It would be very hard. But that definitely would be one of them. It's really one of my favorite albums in jazz.
Mm-hmm. It's a great album. Starts great.
It's really one of the best. Not just start, but like throughout, like the body and soul, it's got everything was great. Like starts with Alabama. I really like this album. And like the Alone Together has a great version, which I never liked any version they have of its song. I know the famous like Kenny Dorham version. I hate it. But this is great. Like you moves from tenor to soprano to tenor to alto for some reason in the middle. But I was thinking about how the information in jazz, like it really didn't pass correctly. Like I'm sure, like I would have loved studying or apprenticing with Sonny Stitt, even right now, just because I'm curious to see how he looked at things at that time frame, because it was so good. And yeah, people have exercised. There's this thing, and it happened also with because of academia, but that the way they teach jazz really became one thing, and it's not the correct thing, because there is no reason why somebody could figure it out so quickly after Charlie Parker. Like this is like 57, I think. Right, Charlie Parker died at 55. So it's like there's no reason why somebody could figure it out so quickly, but nobody now can figure it out. And it's like people like to pretend that there are a lot of people that oh yeah, like you said about this kid. That's why they remind me, because it's like this kid like can really play, but he can't. Like he can't. He doesn't do it. It's not like that level. There's nobody that level.
Right. I'm one. I mean, I think there's a sort of kind of. There had to have been a lot of filtering that these guys were doing that people stopped doing. I would be curious with a guy like Sonny Stitt, what bits in his playing he talks about. I feel like that would have been enough. Like when you just tell him, like, you know, what do you play over what, or how do you think about playing over this? Just the kinds of melodic structures and like how he thinks about the chunks in his playing that are like what he would think is worth talking about and explaining to somebody would be very revealing.
Yeah.
You know, or Oscar Peterson or somebody like that. Because I'm sure they have, I mean, again, I know it from, it's hard to give yourself an example, but if I had to break down my solos, I wouldn't be able to tell somebody what I'm doing on a lot of resolutions, but I would be able to identify chunks of what I'm doing and, you know, kind of describe them with a level of familiarity, you know, just to where I can kind of talk about them vaguely. And
when you teach, you don't give your own stuff as examples. That's almost all I do.
No, I don't talk about myself very much.
Really?
I talk about like other players I like a lot.
Oh, that's really good. 95% I feel like of examples they give are from stuff we did like our recordings.
It's weird. I don't know. It's like with the Marvin stuff. I don't know why. It's like I always it tends to be not what I discuss.
Oh. But because I'm trying to think, like the stuff that I talk about is like type of subdivisions.
Yeah, I talk about that. I talk about rhythm, but I talk about things kind of a little bit more. I mean, I play the way I play, so I can't make up a new way of playing. So I put it together the same way. But I mean, I guess I do talk about it a little bit. But yeah, when I teach, I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about things I've done on albums for some reason, especially because I hear it again. I'm like, ooh, like I wouldn't do that thing.
Yeah, it's like tools. Like I'm thinking, like the thing that I give as an example a lot of time is on Messy Mark on the Storm thing. That I have this lick where I play that I divide it into 9. Mm-hmm. And then I play an arpeggio and move the bottom note. So I move the third note of every triplets. So I move the third note, the 6th note, and the 9th note. Right? So I give it as an example for something that I give it as an example for a few things. Obviously, I playing 9, but also, how it's like we're playing the rhythm there, and how it's technically so obvious and easy. It's not obvious, but it's like it's so easy that I can move it around across harmony. So it's not a lick. I can do it with whatever changes, because it's just a physical movement that I kind of have, right? Because I give a lot of those examples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it's the easiest. But
yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I would be very curious. It's amazing how it's the same tools. Like he does the thing with 6/4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like that stuff, and it's basically it's amazing how
there are so few things that actually work when you like in the grand scheme of things, and everybody does the same shit. Like all the good ones do. It's weird. It's a very constrained world that we live in one sense, and it's like it is true that like that at one point people dove into the realm of chaos and extracted the systems that we use. That they are built on natural things that weren't always there, but and it probably at one point will be possible to retrieve more from the realm of chaos and the realm of the unknown into this and update our systems. But it's probably not our generation. It's like now we're really just reshuffling the same shit with slightly different tones. No, there haven't been any very new tools, I'd say, outside of the realm of maybe electronic music, which is so I do have something to talk about. I just remembered because I gave a master class in Israel. A friend of my mom's got me to do this thing, and he runs a center for people with mental conditions, and it's sort of like a music therapy kind of thing. And the head of their music department is a fan of ours, and they wanted to get us to come and talk to their students. But it's interdisciplinary. There's musicians there. There's like a cinema film kind of people. There's writers and painters, and I was there to talk. And first of all, people that were on different levels of being medicated. Some people were very medicated, and I was talking for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I was sliding from subject to subject, talking about music, but trying to make it interesting for people who knew nothing about music, talking about our career. And then one lady raises her hand just as I'm explaining like the difference between entertainment gigs and gigs with, gigs with hard ticket sales, talking about touring. And she just goes like, I used to live in Canada, and they really value Canadian work experience there. Can you talk about that? I gotta say, and I looked at her, she looked so heavily medicated, and I was just in the flow of my like talk that was already kind of off the rails, and I was outside of my element, but she threw me so deep into the ether, man. I was in chaos, and my reply was literally like, I felt like I was Donald Trump or something. We've been to Canada. Canada's a great country. We love Canada. We love the Canadian people. Canada's great. Just back into my line. But anyway, it made me think about something, because I was talking to, like, before this masterclass, I was playing for a minute with the head of their music department, who's an Israeli rock musician, straight up rock musician. And like kind of looked like he was into grunge, like plays just chords on like a Rickenbacker guitar. And so other people there, like some of the people who were the patients, participants, whatever they call them there, were playing like singer-songwriter kind of things, and he's just playing kind of open chords behind them with like a tremolo sound. And I've said it like many, many times that like rock musicians, it's amazing how little they know about like theory, that like we have a generation of pop musicians basically who cannot find the places to put their hands on the instrument where the previous generation of pop musicians put their hands. Like they can't even make the sounds. Like he cannot possibly survive a Billy Joel song, and the people in Billy Joel's band couldn't possibly survive a Frank Sinatra tune, and it keeps getting like narrower. But I was talking to the guy, and he was like he said like, yeah, most of the things I do is just mixing and sound. And I was thinking, man, that makes so much sense, because, well, for those kind of musicians to get into the studio thing, because with harmony and rhythm, the games, in a sense, especially with harmony, the game is so limited that you actually have to practice a lot to learn some concrete things, and to just learn combinations of things, learn how to use them in different situations, learn what to play over what voicings, what chord structures, all that shit. And with rhythm, it's all just, figuring out the mechanics of playing. But when you're sitting there trying to choose a bass drum sound, you can literally spend forever in a realm that is completely arbitrary. Like don't get me wrong, there's an infinity more sounds that would not work as a bass drum than sounds that would work as a bass drum. But once you are somewhat in the pocket of what sounds like a bass drum, and you're just adjusting the bite of it for 17 hours, or like, it's just a lot of these, and all those people, the thing that they really had in common is how much going for the natural sound was most of what they did. And I feel like that really changed with bands like, I don't know, Radiohead and onwards, where mixing became this like creative adventure into the realm of strange EQing and strange misuse of your onboard gear to make the bass drum sound cool and the snare sound weird and like all this. But you could really spend an infinite amount of time inside the variations and then step away from the process having learned absolutely nothing. And this would be impossible with harmony or rhythm, because if you spent the time just thinking about options, you would walk away with something that you could apply to everything in a very tangible way, and you're playing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was a real realization about, like, because when I see a rock musician with the long hair, like, you know, with some gray in it, and that there's still the long hair and like the leather jacket, like, and they seem like they do a lot of music. I'm like, and then I hear them play. I always have this thought, like, what do you do all day? What is it that you do? Because I know you play music, but I don't see it on you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you're spending your time. Yeah. There's just no motion in their development from age like 20 to 45.
Well, most of them not even 20.
Yeah.
Most of them have a couple of years that were really into it. Usually, it's like 2 years, and then it's like they just sailed on what they learned in the first 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I understand there's all sorts of people. People have different ambitions, different places they want to get to. But it's like there's I just so many people who like listen to like a Jeff Buckley album and think it's the craziest thing.
I don't know. I think it's kind of related. I saw a short video of Andre 3000. You know who he is? Of course you do, right?
Yeah.
So the guy from Outkast. And they asked him why he stopped rapping, because he's been out of it for years. And he said, this is what he says, it's called hip hop. So part of it, you have to be hip, and you're getting old. And it's just, he said, I saw my heroes, you know, and we're just as good as we were, but we're not hip anymore. It just sounds funny. He said, the world already understood everything you're doing, chewed it up, and spit it out in a complete new way. It's like the world moved on. So he said, it doesn't even matter that you're good. It's just, you're not there anymore. It's like, he said, to me, it's like an athlete. It's like your days, you know, your day is just over. Okay? And
that is money privilege.
It's not money privilege. To me, it's an admission that hip hop has no depth.
Yeah.
Because something that has depth, you can keep digging into it and find stuff in it. And he's like, yeah, our music is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Hey man, I couldn't agree with him more.
So it's like you're talking about people that look for different things. And yeah, I agree with it, but you know, you can search on different levels. But it's like it's like you can be a folk singer and keep writing songs until you die, and look for things.
I know it's very hard. I mean, there's something about styles that is just devastating, and I know it from. I actually thought about it recently because my dad plays a lot of opera for my baby, and my baby seems to love it. She also seems to love shitting her pants, you know, so it's like she loves a lot of things, but because she's a happy baby. But in any case, she does seem to have a reaction to opera. And I have chess.com on my phone sometimes. And it's true that like Kasparov is like a genius, and I could sit there and maybe appreciate some of the things that make him a genius. But a lot of times I just go, fuck chess, and I erase it from my phone for a year. Yeah. And I just don't give a shit. You know, and there was a time where like I'd look at Magnus games and I'd be like, dude, this guy's a fucking beast. That's amazing. And then again, I just go, fuck chess, and then I'd erase it for another 2 years. And with opera, you know, it's like I listened to like Magic Flute for a second, and then I'm like, no, but fuck opera. I don't give a shit about all the rules, about all the shit that makes it great, and I won't listen to it for like, you know, another 5 years. And I feel like there are just, and those are the famous styles of music. It's like to get somebody to actually like jazz or fusion, it's such a fucking feat. Like it's incredible. You gotta first of all get them to know what it is. It's not like it's like the breakdancing shit. that you were talking about. But breakdancing got so famous for a minute.
Yeah, fusion never.
Fusion never, ever. There was a glimpse of hope for it in the 70s.
It's more famous now because people watch anime and play consoles.
I mean, I feel like the best thing you could do for fusion is have like some sort of campaign, like the Got Milk campaign, kind of like just something very verbal and very short, and be like just in monkey talk, just like Mario Kart equals fusion.
The problem. It's like it's the same. Someday my prince will come from Snow White, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's like, yeah, it's a jazz song, but how would you get from Someday My Prince Will Come to Charlie Parker? It's like, I don't see the journey. So it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, I know. Oh, your music sounds like Cowboy Bebop. It's like, yeah, but I don't see how you would go from watching anime or playing Mario Kart to listening to real fusion.
I don't see how you'd go from like we talked about this, I think last episode or before, but like about Corey Wong or these I don't see how you'd go from listening to fusion grooves to listening to fusion solos. I don't think that it exercise. When I was doing that masterclass for the non-musicians, for some reason I chose to play them Headless Chicken, which is
amazing.
Yeah, it's the most.
That's what I would do, honestly.
Yeah, so it's probably our least accessible thing ever.
No, other than City Dish Part 1, yeah. It's maybe on the same play.
It's up there. It starts like fucking like groupings of 7, very metally, and then like goes strange neoclassical kind of head for a minute, and then it gets like there's weird breaks. Then there's a very weird.
No, it's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So is this podcast coming out Friday or the next Friday?
Yeah, it'll be out by the time this is out. So it's like very proggy in a sense, but then there's like the saxophone solo that's really out there harmonically, like more dissonant. But it's a long song too, so it's like 8 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Like
Exactly what you did.
It's hard to explain what it feels like. They sat me down in a classroom and played this song, and there's like 25 people watching me as I was for 8 minutes. And 30-second into it, I couldn't take it. I had to move my chair and like face where they were facing, so we're all just looking at the wall, listening to fusion, because I couldn't take the stares of And at the end, like they clapped and they acted like they got it, but I could tell. I'm very proud of this song. I'm very proud of what we do. I think it's great fusion. But to scream at people in a foreign language is just such a bad feeling. I could tell that
breakdancing is a great thing. It's like if somebody comes and do breakdance, and you're like,
yeah, but it's like breakdancing.
I probably thought you're mentally ill.
What?
I probably thought you're mentally ill. Like, good job.
It's exactly that. I mean, it's hard. I can't articulate the feeling, but it was. It's not embarrassing because it's so finely crafted. But it does feel like they're trying to get it. They're trying to like it, but they just don't have the tools to.
Yeah, it feels like we're all trying to be your mom or something.
Yes, and they can't because they don't love me.
Yeah, exactly. It's very strange. Yeah, that's weird. Listen, music is weird. It's very, especially artistic music like ours, because it's really, and let's connect to what you said about the rock people. You kind of look at the world, right? And with instrumental music, it's even a little bit It's a little bit. It's more like you just look at the thing itself, which is music and sound, and you kind of like, let's find a way to arrange it. Like let's see how much we can fuck with it. Like how we can fuck with it and still make it good. You know, that's really what we do. It's like let's think about and let's think what it means for it to be good, and let's think about everything about it. And it's like it's really.
And for everybody, it needs to be a step forward from what you know. But again, I'm telling you, in that specific situation, I had a conversation with one of the people there before, and I asked them, like, so what kind of stuff do you listen to? And this is the people who are in the music thing, which was like 5 of them, and the rest of them were like other disciplines. So assuming they know less about music. And he told me, like, I mainly listen to Machina and Nirvana. So I'm saying that the musical journey that these people took is like is the equivalent of like 2 steps out of your door going downstairs to the grocery store.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's the thing, because if you think about what I was saying, that's a good actually. If you think about what I was saying about how New York Jazz is one of my favorite jazz albums, and then I have a ton of other things that I like, and then I would really need to think about what my favorite jazz albums would be. I really would. It's not that obvious to me. But if you look at what the most famous jazz albums are, well, not that.
No, for sure not.
And it's just weird. It's like the way things get a life of their own is just, and like the myth behind them. I always think about it with Michael Jordan. But everybody, like, but Michael Jordan is God. Michael Jordan, and everybody talks about Michael Jordan. It's like it's like he was good at scoring. Like he was good at basketball. Do you know what I mean? Not like he never missed a shot. He jumped to the moon. Like they all did more or less the same shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. He got a little more points per game or something. And he did. I'm not saying he wasn't better. But it's like they make it into like bigger than life, more famous than Jesus kind of person. And it's just,
right.
It's just kind of doing the same thing. It's just the thing. Like you could choose a lot of those people. Like, and it's hard to separate that.
And in jazz they do. And in jazz they do. They even do it. Unlike sports, they do it for the wrong people often.
Yeah.
Like they take the people, like you cannot make Dennis Rodman into Michael Jordan, no matter how much you tried, because nobody would buy it. But you can certainly, take a guy like Kamasi Washington and say that he's the voice of a fucking generation, even though nobody, I guarantee you that like nobody can, has that connection to his playing that they had to Sonny Stitt or definitely to Charlie Parker.
It's like, sorry to jump, but Patrick Bartley posted this thing. I follow him because he just posts shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Posted the thing, and I thought it was so stupid. He posted like, one day I'm gonna have a fucking band that you play standards, but you call out whatever key you want. And he's like, dude, you need to learn standards in all keys because it gives it a new life when you do it in different key. And that's like that's why I like playing with singles, but instrumentalists, we just don't know how to do it. And it's like you always play songs in the same 2 keys, right? And and when I was thinking about how stupid it is, this all key thing, 99% of your playing is like in 4 keys.
Yeah.
Like most blues are like in C, F, or B flat. It's just weird that you would spend actually more time on the hard, so because the hard keys, because the movements are not as good. So it's weird that you would spend an equal time amount of something that you play 10% of the time on as if you're playing it 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so weird. It's such a backward. It's like that's another thing of like this truism that people tell you in school. Like you have to learn stuff in all keys. It's like why? Why would you learn it in all keys? It's like most standards are the same 2 keys.
Well, it's because that has to do with the death of the band, and which is crazy because really all the greatest jazz bands were bands. Louis Armstrong band, Duke Ellington's band, John Coltrane's band, Miles Davis's bands, and they played the same shit in the same keys exclusively, right? When they played any of those songs, they were always in the same key on album after album, version after version, live album after live album. They'd never change it. But after bands died and people in New York started being I don't even know what to call it, floating sideman, like solo, like band leaders acting as sideman, where you're supposed to be prepared for any situation. You are the Swiss Army knife of a jazz musician, and you're ready to be called at 4:30 in the morning. You walk on your hands to the gig with your dick out, and you pack all your shit on the subway. And the dick out was not related, but and you're just prepared for like any strange situation where you're supposed to do anything in any tempo in any key, and nobody gives a shit.
I'm thinking about the way they say it and the way it really is. It's like, one day you play, it's like basically, all right, so one day you play a jazz gig and then in parentheses in a coffee shop. And then the next day you play a salsa gig in parentheses in a Mexican restaurant. You know what I mean?
Dude, wouldn't it be great if you just
parentheses wedding? It's like, it's like make it seem like you're doing all this crazy shit.
How funny would it be if you're like a New York upright jazz bassist, and instead of learning in all the keys, you just invent a huge capo and bring your huge bass capo to all your jazz gigs. It's like let's do.
I see what you're saying, and I'm gonna do better. What if you invented a double bass with frets?
Yeah, right.
Do they have it?
They should. I mean, if the way those people play out of tune. I mean, I was not.
I feel like
who doesn't want it anymore?
I feel like you would get killed if you do it. I feel like somebody would murder you if you do.
I mean, literally, the upright bass these days is just a prop.
Yeah,
it's just to make it look like jazz.
Why would you play it?
I mean, it makes no fucking
sense. You know your upright bass solo? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, it's because people want it. It's because I mean, there is a weird sound of electric bass and acoustic piano from most bassists can't get can't make it work. Few can.
Why can't you do it with frets and keep the sound?
It would just be so funny, the Irving Berlin piano. That's the transposable piano where you'd pull the lever and it would just modulate from C to C sharp. If you just have a whole band of jazz capoists, just call it the capos. Dude, that'd be amazing for Patrick Bartley's band. I love that idea for the future.
Oh my god! Oh, I'm trying to look. Threaded upright bass. Yeah, I'm not the first one that thought about it.
Clearly. Did you find any?
Contrabass violine. Usually, sometimes have those.
Yeah, I mean, all they really need is the grooves, to where that they can feel where in tune is.
Yeah, but they would never do. Again, they would never do it.
No, because it's steampunk. It's for looks. I mean, again, I do think we have one album that's all upright bass, breaking the cycle, and it does give it a totally different vibe. But yeah, let's just see. But honestly, for the kinds of I can't talk because when we were playing shitty cafes and stuff, we'd pull all of our gear because we wanted to get our tone and our sound, and we'd never scale down for the gigs. But we probably would have done better if we did in a lot of these situations.
No, I'm saying that it's we work all their lives to play walking bass more in tune.
Yeah.
Solved it. It's like you just look at the problem from the wrong angle. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a common theme. I think that's the motto is to look at every problem from only the angle that's acceptable. You know, that kind of comes full circle with the entire New York jazz mentality. But it's amazing how I really want to be in the room when they all teach themselves how to behave at 17, 16 when they're in these like Israeli jazz schools where like they all have like bits of things. You probably grew up with it a lot more than I did, but like, you know, like, no, you don't do this, you don't say this, it's not cool to like, and then there's somebody says like he's a cool cat. And like, you know, like insecurely, and then everybody's like, it's like a cat, we say cat now, okay. It's like, that's jive, man. And like, just having these fucking nerds like slowly teaching each other how to become this person and like the do's and don'ts, and then they get to New York and it's all fucked up the way it's coming out, and they're adapting. It's such a crazy version of fake it till you make it. You know, that's really the jazz Israeli way.
When you're a bunch of bass players, I'm thinking about one specific, you know who, but when you're a bunch of them that were trying to play fusion and end up playing upright walking bass.
Yeah, because they moved to New York and they're like, what are we going to, like, nobody wants this.
Okay, you can get, well, right, nobody wants it, but nobody wants the other thing either, and at least this is fun.
I mean, bass is tough right now because I think if you're a bassist, you find a very strange reality that's unique to your instrument and maybe drummers, which is you can have all the gigs you want, and you can make, like, if you spend all your time commuting, you might be able to afford some rent, you know, and some food. Like you can really. You have something that's unavailable on other instruments, which is to just support your life. You can sustain it, just very minimally, but you can do it. But you are literally paying for it with like all of your soul. You're just doing the most soul-sucking gigs, and like 2 or 3 of them a week, you find a silver lining in. But then like you have 3 or 4 of them a week that just destroy you from the inside. Or like you feel like you swallowed like poison. I'm sure it's like that. And then you can get into like the bands, you know, you could be in like a singer-songwriter's touring band, or in like a good case, like a country band like we met on the road. That's out there. But if you want to play fusion, you are up against people who are forces of nature, and literally it's such a fucking weird world where the most famous bassist on the planet right now is Davey 5.0.
504.
What is it?
504.
Davey 504, and Charles, his friend, and
no.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a bizarre reality, and then you have like Victor Wooten and like, I don't know, like even non-famous, like Federico Malaman, like however you say his name, and what's the name of the guy in Brazil?
Quina.
Michael Pipoquina. Just these beasts that are like just dominating YouTube, and nobody even knows them. It's like just bass is like, you know, in one way it's good, and another way it's just totally fucking depressing.
Oh, like, just depressing. You know, I thought about how that's another recurring subject on the podcast, but how, you know, when we started getting views on Facebook with our videos, I remember when we got
that's before I joined ISIS.
Yeah, when 100,000 views, and then we got 2 million views on a few of them, on all of me too. It was insane. Like, people looked at it and was like, dude, this is insane. 1 million views, right? But now you have those videos
on TikTok?
On TikTok and on like the Facebook Shorts of people playing on the street or whatever. It can be anything. 20 million views, 30 million views, and nobody even knows their name. Like, you don't have the name on the video. Like you don't even know. And it's like 20 million views, 8 million views, 12 million views. It's like every video has tens of millions of views. And it's going to keep going up. It's not like those videos are going anywhere, right?
Right.
And it's crazy what happened. And it doesn't even, it's not like it became viral like the public Bartley solo on the reason why I give this example all the time, because it's the only example.
Yeah.
And that became viral in a way that's crazy because everybody that plays saxophone kind of knows it now. But even that is going away quickly. Because I taught a lesson, and I was talking about it for a second, because I was talking about how he really sounds like a Bostic, but nobody knows how Bostic. So it's really novel for people, even though a lot of it have been done. And again, it's a good blah blah blah. But the guy took him a second to remember who it was. Like it sounded familiar to him, and then he remembered. So even that doesn't stay in people's minds. But now, which is a new thing, it's just with those shorts, it's just like millions of views that are meaningless. And those people that get those views are nothing. It's really they are nothing. They're not mediocre, they're not good. Some of them are okay, some of them are terrible, some of them are pretty good, I don't know, but it's not for being good. It's weird that most of the people on TikTok and shorts that have any sort of fame are not that funny, not that smart, are not original, don't have anything to them other than feeding that machine in a way that the machine likes. And they really get nothing out of it. It's very weird. And it made it, like we thought about going to TikTok, and the past few months, it's already moved on to something that makes no sense. Like if we thought it didn't make sense to us in the beginning, now it makes zero sense for people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like John Mayer was trying to catch the TikTok wave, and to some level he had success with his people who already were his fans. But that thing of guy playing guitar, it's not for that. No, it's not for that at all. Last thing I want to say on today's episode is that I don't understand. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Russia has been disinvited from the Eurovision.
What?
Yes.
Don't you love it? All this shit. Didn't China release a virus from Wuhan that killed like 5 million people or something?
Did you hear about that they sequenced the virus and like now they know that for sure it was released from that fucking lab?
Yeah, don't know. Nobody gives a shit. And
it's over.
Those things are so funny. It's like, everything is still made in China. Even are we gonna boycott them? Not to talk about all the shit with Russia, but we're still buying gas for them. But I'm sure the guy that we listen to is gonna talk about it, right? I haven't heard him say it, so I'm saying it first. But it's so silly the stuff with China. It's like they do all the stuff.
Listen, I'm not sure if I can watch it. I don't know what a Eurovision without Russia even means.
Yeah. No, that's really take them out. It's just so weird. This entire thing with countries between each other.
I feel like this is like the first. What it really feels like is that like a country, it's like a cancellation. Like they're canceling Russia, and like instead of banning them from Twitter, they're just banning them from like Swift. Like they got me too'd.
It's more like high school. Like countries represent a high school person. You're not invited to my birthday party.
It is like that. I don't know. I'm like everybody. Like I'm with my parents now in Israel, and they're watching the news like 20 hours a day. And the fucking news announcers just look like they're in costumes. They're odd. They look oddly young, and like the makeup. Yeah, because I'm old, I know, but like the way they don't like. I actually had to like look up news announcers in the 90s, like when we were growing up, even the young ones. Somehow, they just looked like people in suits and glasses, but like now they're wearing costumes.
You know why?
Why?
They come too much, not enough testosterone.
That's right. Too much porn. You know that in Russia, all the porn sites banned Russia. There's no internet porn in Russia unless it's like Russian.
Trying to really get him to win the war, huh?
Yes, exactly. The guy, those fucking soldiers are just gonna come blazing.
You're the only person when I bring that subject up, the thing with how much people come today compared to how much we probably did like 40, 50 at 200 years ago. Following everybody don't get my point on this thing.
What? Why?
I don't know. It makes so much. It's so weird. It's like we don't think that it's so strange. You know,
people are just skeeting dust all day long.
I was talking to my wife about it yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was like, "But I told her, but you don't understand how many times guys come right now."
All the time. All the time. We literally had a band member who had a spank. He had a kit we called the spank tank that he would take in the bathroom. We wrote a bebop hit that goes, if you ever need to catch a cum in the bathroom, you better bring your spank tank. Spank tank. Yeah. And yeah, it's a great hit. But then we named the song about spank tank. And he would just go and spank with his tank in like gas station bathrooms, like a fucking like absolutely disgusting. I've never done that in my life, but for him it was like, I don't know, just like 7-8 times a day. What was it? I don't even know. It could have been anything.
Oh, you know it came up because one of our friends was on his phone when we were hanging out, and it was like, "What do you have on your phone?" And he looked at TikTok of like just a lady shaking her ass, like, "Oh, look at her ass." Like, me monkey, you know what I mean? Well, he didn't say me monkey, but that's what I heard, right? Me monkey. So it's like, oh, shaking ass shake, next, ass, next, boobs, you know? And it's just, yeah, it's just this entire thing. It's so crazy. And she liked him, why don't you look at porn? And I told her, of course he's not looking at porn because you can't look at porn when people are around. So, yeah. It's like you want to have a half. It's like people want to have a half chubby at any point of the day. Do you know what I mean? This is so like.
You think is this what TikTok is? It's like porn you can look at as public. It's like light porn. Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it's like it's porn that won't give you a boner. It's okay. The way we have it, it's so insane. And I try to explain it to people. And it's like, we don't get it. And I tried to explain to her, and she's like, I don't want to hear that. It's like, I tell her, look, I give her an example of somebody else we know. And I'm like, listen, this guy's single. He's home all day. What do you think he's doing? How many times a day? Like 20? It's like,
all of them, every opportunity. He doesn't put it back in. He just keeps it out.
It's just, you know, when it comes, it's like it's evaporating. I mean, it's like mist.
Yeah. It looks like one of those like a humidifier smoke for like plume. Like it's just a plume.
Yeah, and it's just but every time I try to talk about it to somebody, we don't get it. So I don't know how much the people on the podcast are getting it, because in real life it doesn't get a good reaction.
Well, they probably are all just like listening to this with one earphone in, and the other one they have like Pornhub. So it's like, don't judge me.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's just the thing.
Yeah, no. You should save some of that testosterone for when war comes to your country.
All right,
for sure.
We can be done.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, all the things. I don't know. Go to Facebook. Should you go to Facebook? Is Facebook still a thing? Dude, they took Facebook and CDs away from us. What's left?
Wait, you didn't see my genius post?
I saw your genius post
about announcing the.
Yes, it was very genius.
Yeah.
But yeah, Headless Chicken's out on Spotify. Check it out. Tell us what you think. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.